Welcome to Suthichai Live English. My guest today, Kru Rosie. She's been in Thailand teaching English or British English to Thais for many, many years. And now I'm very happy to catch up with her to talk about how she's been doing and, the concern of a lot of people about AI. AI may be stealing jobs or replacing many people in many professions. I wonder, English language teachers, whether do they have the same concern? สวัสดีครับครู Rosie
สวัสดีค่ะคุณสุทธิชัยสวัสดีค่ะ
Right. Last time we talked many, many years ago.
Yes, it was.
Maybe also on Suthichai Live, but it was probably in English and I was translating it into Thai. But today we're going to talk only in English. How have you been? How have you been doing? Update us on how your students have been and how you have been.
Well, first of all, thank you for asking, Kun Suthichai. I have been very well, thank you. So I've now been in Thailand for 10 years, which is just amazing. I actually originally planned to only stay in Thailand for 1 year. That was my original plan.
How did the original plan get changed so drastically?
I kind of settled down here. I found that I have a passion for teaching. Actually my reason for staying here is, it's mainly to do with my job, my personal life as well.
Right. All right. So now 10 years from the original plan of 1 year. And how many more years do you plan to stay on?
So, I mean, for me, I kind of like to just go with the flow. I don't like to have too much of a plan. I feel like you should live in the moment just because I believe you can never plan your life. So right now I'm happy and my plan so far right now is to stay, but I'm open. But right now I'm enjoying my life here and enjoying staying.
What has been the main reason for your staying on in Thailand for so long? Okay, you said you have passion for teaching.
Yes.
And of course, Thai people are friendly, but there must be other reasons as well. And in the meantime, you face that pandemic crisis, COVID crisis, like everybody else. Did you suffer from COVID a lot because you couldn't meet your students personally and you had to go online? Or maybe it was a boon for you that there was COVID because you could then teach English online. What was your experience throughout the COVID pandemic?
So actually, it's quite interesting because before COVID came about, I actually was already kind of moving online. So I'd originally been teaching mainly in person. And then I kind of realized that things were starting to move online. And so I actually was already kind of ready to get online and do it. So I'd already moved from offline to online. So to be honest, I was already kind of prepared and had already set up myself. So to me, I wasn't too badly affected. And to be honest, I don't want to use the word benefited from the pandemic because that feels kind of disrespectful. But I guess it was a blessing in disguise. I was at that point, and my social media as well. I think that many people, I was building up my social media a lot and people had more time on their hands. People wanted to learn English for free online. So at that time, I kind of just seized this opportunity and went with it. So I'm very grateful and it did luckily work out for me, to be honest.
Right. For many people too, in many other professions, when COVID hit, at first they were scared. They were quite worried. And then they found out that the fact that they had earlier gone online gave them the opportunity to pursue it. And then compared to other professions that had not gone online, they didn't do too badly.
So, I was quite lucky with it. And like I said, I think during that time, many people had lots of free time. And I felt like during that free time, because people weren't able to go out, many people saw this as an opportunity to learn English. And I really noticed that so many Thai people were eager to learn English. So my social media really grew during that time, and I was teaching a lot and things. So it worked out fine for me.
I see.
And I'm still here.
Of course, and knowing better, you didn't only survive, you thrived, right? You have thrived far. So if you look back, when you first came to Thailand, started to teach English, compared to now, what have been the major changes, and what kind of adjustment has been the most difficult for you?
I would say, I mean, with technology, this is our discussion point for today.
Yes,
I would definitely say that nowadays technology and AI are so readily available that I would say, I mean, I don't want to jump to the answer of are they replacing teachers, but I definitely feel like students are more dependent and are using these free resources. And I do feel like in the last couple of years, so I thrived during COVID, but then I feel like since COVID, things have slowed down a bit. And I do feel like students are now turning towards using AI and technology to improve their English. Whether AI is replacing it, I'm not sure, but I would say that I would definitely say that Thais are moving towards seizing these free resources.
Well, some people say that AI is not a threat to their profession, but if you don't know how to use AI, you definitely would be affected. How do you yourself adjust to this kind of disruption?
And for me personally, I think that there are things that AI and technology are wonderful for, but there are things that AI can't provide students. And I think that my main selling point as a teacher is my personality, my connection with my students. And for me, my students are not just my students. I connect with them on a very personal level. I get to know them. They tell me lots of things. And students have also actually said to me that I'm almost like a therapist. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
therapist, huh? Okay.
I have these wonderful conversations with my students. And I really connect with them, and I share. I'm an open person, so I share things about myself. So for me, there is no way that AI could ever replace that human connection. Until such time
as AI could become more human than what it is now, which is a long way away. So you shouldn't worry about that too much. But I agree with you that eventually human beings must be much better than AI in terms of personal relations, in terms of personal touch, and in terms of empathy, right? Empathy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That maybe we're trying to console ourselves as a human being, but then there's we must try to survive this. But it is also, in the positive side, it helps, I think, not only in some areas of work, all the routine activities could be replaced or could be done by AI. That would leave us time to do more creative thing. Is that what you think will happen?
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, if we look at the internet, if we think about how life was without the internet and how much our life has changed with the internet, it's almost like AI is almost like the next stage that we've gone from internet, and now the next big thing is AI. I do think our lives are going to change. I guess with like the introduction of the internet, people were kind of scared that it would change our lives for the worst, and they saw the negative side of it. I think the same with AI. I think that it can be very, very beneficial, and we just have to use it in the best possible way. And I think there are so many benefits of AI, and there are so many great things. I mean, just if we look at ChatGPT, for example, that's like, I guess, the most well-known AI provider. And I mean, there's so many great ways to learn English. And I wouldn't, as a teacher, I would never lie and say that, oh, AI can't teach English, it can't help with language learning, because that's not the case. Actually, there are many ways that ChatGPT can help improve a student's
what have you what have you used ChatGPT for?
What have I personally used it for? Sometimes just random questions for me personally. If I'm just sometimes, I mean, originally I would use Google, but now I like to get ChatGPT's opinion. Sometimes it could be an opinion, it could be getting information, it could be that I have an idea and I want it to teach me something. I mean, that's the nicest thing about ChatGPT, is that it can really break it down for you, and really simplify things, because it could be that I'm reading a book or something and I understand it, but I need it kind of broken down. And I love that about ChatGPT, about how it can really break it down, and you can keep changing the question and saying, okay, can you break it down for me even more? Can you rephrase that? Can you give me an example sentence of how this word is used? I mean, it is amazing. It's incredible.
It is.
What it can do.
It can improve your writing style. You know, it could really summarize things. In your experience, has ChatGPT been precise, been correct in most of the things that you have asked it to do or prompted to do?
Yeah, most of the time, to be honest. I would like to say no, but the truth is, I would love to be like, no, it's terrible.
No, but the fact is, it is more credible than we thought, right?
Exactly. I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, it makes lots of mistakes. It's not. I mean, people are always going to try and find the negatives. But from my experience, it has been pretty good so far. And I do encourage my students to use it as well.
Well, when you encourage your students to use it, how do you advise them to use it? And how much is it that they rely on ChatGPT, and how much is your role still relevant? Of course, we mentioned the personal relation, but then at the same time, they could get hooked on ChatGPT and maybe think, oh, Kru Rosie สู้ ChatGPT ไม่ได้
ไม่ได้
สู้ไม่ได้ That will be the day when you have to really worry about things, right?
So for me, I've encouraged students to the new ChatGPT, the version 4, is it 4.0? You can now, 4.0, now you can have a conversation by using your voice and the voice recognition, and having a conversation with ChatGPT. So I've told my students that no, it's not going to replace human connection, because these nuances you won't get with AI. But if students, I've told them, if you want to practice speaking, this is one thing that Thais, they often are maybe scared to like speak out. So I've told them that you can use ChatGPT to actually like have a conversation. And I've told them that you can talk to ChatGPT and say like, hi, how are you doing today?
Right.
You can pose these questions and actually create a conversation with ChatGPT. So it's just for speaking out. I think that I guess most people in the past, I told Thais like, okay, speak to yourself, which is still a great way to practice. But I think they like this interaction. I guess it's kind of like a midway between speaking by yourself, speaking to a teacher or a real native. And it's kind of like a nice midway point of just having that continuation between my classes.
There is this new AI platform called Claude 3.0, and I've tried it to have conversation with it, and it is incredible. I mean, they could really interact with you. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't. I do not Suthichai. Claude.
Claude, Claude, I think, Claude E. And it's also in Thai language. Some people have tried to have a conversation, very sort of philosophical conversation, and they can engage you really. So it's, in a way, it's frightening, but you may want to try it. Of course, it's available in the English language as well. You can say, tell me a story about, tell me an inspiring story, because I'm very much down, and I have failed in many projects. Then the AI start telling you, oh, sit down, calm down, take a seat, calm down. A lot of people before they became successful would have to fail first, then start citing examples. Are you a businessman? Yes. Okay, let me give you some examples in the business field about people.
Wow.
Yeah, about people who failed, about people who, when after they failed, they stood up and then they tried again, and eventually they were successful. This sort of thing. So this is, I think, another, whether you like it or not, another major stride in AI.
Yeah, but I will have to try this app.
Try this.
I will try it.
So, can AI distinguish between British accent and American accent? Because you have been teaching Thai the British accent.
I have.
You have tried. Okay.
Oh, no. Actually, no. Sorry, Suthichai. Sorry.
You yourself, right? But how is AI doing in terms of different accents for the English language?
I don't know whether I've tried it yet, Suthichai. I can't remember. I can't remember.
But you have to try, because that will be another aspect of AI that will change a lot of things in language learning.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that you can actually ask ChatGPT to change the accent. I think you can. For example, if they're using like American English, I think so, that you can say like, oh, I want to practice my British English. Can you use a British accent?
I'm sure it can do. I'm sure, because if you put in enough data, information, whether it's video, whether it's voice, then it can really learn how to do it. But the very exciting innovation is, I have this Samsung new version of AI. You speak one language.
Yes.
At the end of the line, another language is speaking, say, Thai and Korean. You speak Thai, your Korean friend can understand it immediately. So English, Thai, we have no problem in communicating, right?
Yeah, I've seen these apps, I think I've seen different adverts for this kind of thing. Like you say, where you say way. Yeah.
Instant translation.
Exactly.
So that is possibly another kind of threat for English language teachers, that who would need to learn a foreign language if AI can, translate it instantly.
The thing is that with these kind of apps and these advancements, I guess I always think that they they're great for like daily business, but I mean, they are great. I just never think they can replace 100%. For example, let's imagine you were doing business and you had one person that had really studied the language or at least made an attempt to speak the language. And you had another person that was using one of these automatic translators. I think that the connection, you would definitely lose the connection from using this kind of AI. So I think that any attempt to speak a foreign language, even if you're not fluent, you're showing that you are committed, and it shows your human connection with that person, that you've actually made an attempt to study the language. And the thing is, for me, I would say a huge part that AI lacks, we talked about the empathy. Second of all is the culture. And for me, I don't even know how to emphasize how important culture is. So just because you can have AI translate, and I do think it's wonderful in some situations, but I still think that learning a language and learning the culture is so deep that I just don't think that AI could ever replace that. Because just having a translator, yes, you're translating the words, but the reason why you're using these words is for communication. And why do you need communication? It's for connection. So it's kind of like with AI, you're just kind of skipping to just you're simply skipping to just having the communication without the connection. So you're lacking the connection. And you need that culture. That is just, for me, it's so important when you understand the culture and the language together. Those two kind of go hand in hand, and that will therefore boost and help this human connection thrive that AI could never do.
I personally would agree with you and would very much like to believe you, but
maybe I'm lying to myself.
I know. But about 15, 20 years ago,
yes,
when there was the first website, Wikipedia, if you remember.
Yes, of course.
And when Wikipedia appeared, and then when news websites started to appear, I was telling my colleagues in the newsroom, in the newspaper, that, hey, let's be careful. Because if people can read news on the website, Wikipedia, then one day, I don't know when, but one day they might not need to read us newspaper. And most of my friends said, no way. Come on.
Oh, God.
You're being paranoid. People must always read newspapers because only newspaper people can provide the kind of information, the kind of analysis that, people want. How can you think that people want to read it from the website? And then I said, well, I hope we are right. I hope that will not happen. But what if it happened? Oh, come on. That's not, being foolish. Now, come on, go on. Every morning when you wake up, would you like to go to the computer and start reading things, or would you like to pick up the newspaper, have a cup of coffee, and you can still have that touch with the paper? That feeling will never disappear. Okay, 20 years later, as we talk today, what happened? Newspapers have disappeared, virtually have disappeared, right?
They really have.
Yeah, they have. And not only newspapers, television, radio. Because no one thought YouTube could replace TV. No one thought Netflix could ever replace, what? You used to go to
cinema.
Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah, of course, Blockbusters. Yeah, oh my gosh, love it. I love that well, in the past, I used to love it. I'm also Suthichai. I love that about Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. If I mention Blockbuster to younger people, they will say, what are you talking about? What's that? Or when I talk about watch Walkman.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you know
yeah.
Walkman?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. They would ask me, what are you talking about? Walkman, Blockbuster. But those were the days when we were all confident that if you want to watch a good movie, you go to Blockbuster, you get the latest movie, and then you come home and you return it in 2 weeks or 1 month. If you don't return it, you get fined. Right? Yeah. Now, no one, Blockbuster became bankrupt, right? And then Walkman was replaced by MP3, was replaced by iPod. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Of course,
iPod,
had an iPod.
yes,
I did.
yes. Now, I always remember these stories, which are not just stories; they are real life experiences. So, as we talk about ChatGPT, I am having that same feeling
Oh
of
gosh.
what feeling that it's going to happen again or not. Well, now have I scared you enough to say, okay, let me rethink?
I mean, like I've said, Suthichai, I've thought about it before. It's been something which I do think about. I guess right now I'm just offering what I can to the best of my ability. I think that because also my personality is that, like I said, when we began this conversation about living in Thailand and my future, you asked me that I was going to stay in Thailand forever. And I said, I like to go with the flow.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to being a teacher, I mean, for me, I try to do the best that I can in this situation and create this connection with my students. If it came to the fact that in 5-10 years that I didn't have any students, nobody wanted to learn English because AI had stolen all of my students. I mean, I would be open to different possibilities about what I could do.
I'm sure you would adjust to the new situation, because I've noticed that you have done online, the clips, your short clips on social media are very helpful. And, I'm sure you have created your own sort of identity on social media, and you have thrived in this area. I'm just trying to provoke you into thinking in the near future as to what plans do you have. But I'm sure that along the way, you will find new ways to cope, right?
Definitely. And like I said, I do tell my students to use AI. It's not like I'm trying to hide them from AI and telling them don't use it. I think that AI can support language learning. Again, we don't know whether AI will be replacing teachers, but in the meantime, I guess as long as it can support the language learning for the better, then I'm all for that. And I mean, the one thing I do love about AI is the fact that, like I said, many Thais often feel quite shy to speak out. But I love that with AI, they can maybe practice at home and have like little conversations and just kind of build up that confidence.
Have you noticed that Thai students are more open, less shy about speaking English these days?
I think it depends on the generation. I would say that people above the age of about 40 are still a little bit kind of shy, let's say. But I would say that I've also had some younger students that are 15 or younger, and they've had, actually, I had a girl that comes to mind, and she's been studying with me on and off for the last couple of years. She's about 12, and her English is like a native. And it's amazing because we've had these conversations. Her vocabulary is almost as good or better than a native. And I've asked her so many times about how she's learned English. She's never studied abroad. She never studied, she's never studied at international school. But she's created this English environment for herself. And it's definitely been aided by her parents. They've obviously provided English classes, and they've encouraged her to watch YouTube in English, watch movies in English, but and she's also got a passion for English as well. So she is an example of somebody that has really thrived. Her English skills have really thrived simply from living in Thailand and exposing herself to this English environment, just from technology. She doesn't have English friends. She speaks to her friends in Thai. She speaks to her family in Thai, but with me, she speaks like a native, just because she said she watches YouTube videos. She listens to English songs, watches English movies, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a very inspiring example.
It is.
Yeah. So compared to 10 years ago, things are more open, and you're more encouraged by the fact that Thai people now are more enthusiastic about learning English, right?
I think so, yes. I think that, again, with the culture and things, I guess that the Thais now have more exposure to Western culture as well, and that's also helped. I think that previously, when it was maybe Thais learning English but didn't really understand Western culture, there was the disconnection. But nowadays, people are traveling internationally. There's so many foreigners in Thailand that I think that this is helping to create this connection with Western culture. Hopefully not lose Thai culture. Hopefully not. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Also, very good. Thank you very much, Kru Rosie, for this conversation.
My pleasure.
Just before I go, I'd like to ask you about your hometown's politics. How is it that you have a new prime minister? Because I listened to him, and his British accent is very clear. How do you like it? Yeah, how do you like your new prime minister?
So I'll be totally honest with you, Kun Suthichai. I don't really follow it that much. I used to be honest, and then over the years, I guess I've become less disconnected. And I feel like as an English person living in Thailand, I feel like I don't really have too much of a say. Like, I don't feel like I should give too much of an opinion, because I'm living abroad.
So you didn't vote?
I didn't, exactly. I didn't vote. I didn't feel like, as an English person living abroad, I didn't.
So you feel more Thai than English now?
I mean, quite possibly. I guess living here for 10 years.
Yeah. Interesting. So you have been Thaianized.
Thaianized, indeed.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you very much, Kru Rosie, for this very interesting, delightful conversation.
Thank you so much. สวัสดีค่ะ Thank you.
Let's talk again soon, ครับ สวัสดีครับ
That'll be great.